Okay, let's get started. Hello, everyone. Today is December 13th, 2023. This is the Kubernetes Data Protection Working Group meeting. So today, okay, so first let's look at the status of this CPT thing. How are we doing with this review?
Yeah, I think James had recently reviewed the PR. Yeah, the most of the comments were about the wording in the documentation. So Carl already has addressed the changes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's not approved yet. I think I don't see any open questions though.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe another cycle of review will be required since Carl has already addressed the comments. So yeah.
Okay. So we have no reason to believe that James will have any more issues. Like everything was either it was easily addressable. It wasn't like open questions.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's real good because James is very thorough, hard to satisfy. I haven't done another pass in a couple of weeks. But last I checked, my concerns have been addressed. So maybe I can do another pass and put an LGTM on it.
Sure.
In fact, you know what? As the holidays come, I'm gonna have a little bit more free time because I'm not taking any vacation. A lot of people will be out of the office, so maybe I'll have a day where I can just come in and like get work done, including doing the last pass. That'd be great.
Okay, yeah, let's see. Get this one in. What about the cap? Did we get more? Oh, actually, I should also take a look. Let's not take a look. So Ben, you reviewed it, right? Let's see.
Yes, I did a pass on the cap a couple weeks back.
Okay, I should also accept this. Those are all comments. Okay, we have something in November, looks like. Okay, those are yours. Okay. I'll also take a look. Okay, so I think looks good.
I think we discussed, but for CSI specs, we don't have we don't follow any release cycle, right? It's ad hoc, right?
Yeah, but we normally still follow the release. So normally we still want to do it. Let's say if there's a release coming, we want to do it in that time frame, right? But I think these changes we're only doing these changes in CSI, right? In the external sidecars repo. Yeah, so this one that does not have to be tightly restricted by the, when we release Kubernetes, I think, right? It's not like the volume attributes related thing because we actually have to update the dependency for CSI entry, but this one we actually do not, So we can.
There's no like hard dependency. So the general rule is get the changes in as early as possible, and then if we need to do a release to synchronize with Kubernetes, we'll do it for the Kubernetes release. If we don't, then we won't.
Yeah.
Okay.
So once we got it merged, then we can discuss when we want to release this. Because sometimes I think we also want to wait for other changes, right? For the next release will be 1.30, right? So we'll see if there are other changes need a CSI spec release, then we maybe wait for that. But in that case, we don't have to hold off on our implementation, right? We can start implementation. So, okay. So once that is merged, then we can look at maybe we need to request a new repo to be opened. Once we got CSI spec merged, we can do that, I think. Yeah.
Cool. Makes sense.
Yeah, okay. Just add a note here. Once sun is back, the bar is merged. And cast since I set repo. And we to wait. Okay, so okay. Are there anything else we want to discuss for this? Okay, so we all set? Okay.
Anything new with volume snapshot groups? I remember the last meeting, there was something about how we're going to import as to gonna.
Right. So there are two things. So one is this thing so there are actually two topics. This one, I think we have a PR submitted. So this one, I talked to you, I think last time we talked about this one, static provisioning. And then I did ping you after that. And also I talked to Michelle. I think she is supposed to review that. We have where's our PR? Yeah. So we have this one, right? So I talked to you about the.
Is there a review that I'm supposed to be doing? Because I might have lost track of it. Is it on?
I can go over this with you. I was asking Michelle to review it because I talked to you. You seems to be okay unless you have a big objection. So basically, this is exactly the same as what I pinned you. Basically, what we are trying to do is to so here now we have this group snapshot handle source, which what this means is so this will have a both the volume group snapshot handle and volume snapshot handles. Right, this the list of snapshot IDs. Remember that's the one that we're talking about. If it's static provisioning, the admin needs to manually construct a volume group snapshot content. So they need to have a place to enter those individual IDs, right?
So the idea is, if you dynamically create a group snapshot, you don't provide either of these fields.
Yeah, because
we statically create one, you have to provide both.
Retrieve it dynamically because there is already a volume snapshot. You know, everything is already there. We can just query. We can figure it out. But
so the actual process of doing it statically would be you take like a previously created group snapshot, you would go through one by one and statically create the individual volume snapshots, and then you would create the group snapshot using those volume snapshots in the group handle.
Right.
That would be the procedure.
Yeah.
Could you skip the creation of the individual volume snapshots and just provide their handles, like what their handles would have been, and just put that in Kubernetes?
So for this one, right, we need to call this get volume group snapshot. Right? For static provisioning, we also always need to call this get a volume group snapshot, and that requires the snapshot IDs, right? So the same thing with remember for this pre-provisioned volume snapshot, the same thing. We will need to call get request, right? I mean the query basically. You need to do a get volume snapshot.
So you're saying, you're saying even if you happen to know all these handles, if you only create the group snapshot object and you haven't created the individual snapshot objects, the sidecar will fail because it will go looking for those snapshot IDs and not find them.
Right. Because those are required field. Remember, we were talking about this one. You reminded me actually, because for some storage systems, they don't really have a concept of the group snapshot handle. This is a kind of Kubernetes thing. They only know the individual ones, right? So, but they don't know what's the relationship between this and this. So, if you
but the handle is the thing that the SP knows about. So
that's exactly we were talking about in the last meeting, right? Because for some storage systems, they do not know this group handle. They only know individual snapshot handle, right? That's why we're requiring them to provide this, because.
But what I'm saying is, yeah, if you just put the volume snapshot handles in that array, but you haven't also created like volume snapshot content objects and volume snapshot objects and bound them, like what would fail?
Which one? I'm sorry.
I'm trying to understand, do you have to statically provision volume snapshots in addition to the group snapshot? Right. Like on the Kubernetes side, do you have to create volume snapshot content objects, volume snapshot objects?
It's the same, yeah. So kind of the same as the for dynamic algorithm, right?
But if so, why? If like, well, what's not going to work if you don't do that?
But otherwise, what you're expecting? You expect the user to do that themselves, do each individual snapshot, and then finally they do this whole thing. But then even that, we still.
No, I'm asking which way it is. I'm saying we expect the user knows all the individual volume snapshot handles, and he knows the group snapshot handle. And what do they have to do on the Kubernetes side to get the import done?
Oh, so they need to go create a volume group snapshot content first with provided.
Okay, they don't have to create the individual volume snapshot contents for each.
We're not. Okay. That's too much, right? It's just
well, I was just asking. So okay.
Okay.
So you can create individual volume snapshot contents, but all you have to do is the group content, and then like this. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Well, the static pre-provision case is always kind of part manual, right? So part manual, but part automatic, basically. So, right. Yeah. I thought about it. It's just I don't see a way. Initially, I thought, can we, do not require this? I don't see a way to do that, because we need to do this get, and then the get requires individual snapshot IDs. So they have to construct this. That's why this guy he was basically having this other. He's implementing the get group snapshot status. So he does not know how to test it. That's why we had this discussion, right? This is the old one. Like, he does not have a way to enter the snapshot IDs. We don't give them an API to do that.
All right, that sounds all right to me.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I basically just need. I think Michelle is busy. I need to ping her again to do the API review, basically. So that's this one, and then the other thing. So this one, I want to get this one in before we cut the release for 1.29. And the other one, I think we just need to think a little bit more about maybe next release. So this is I think there was someone asking a question. I believe you were also there. Yeah, I think you also in that thread, right? So I think this person is trying to do a restore. I think the problem is right now. So right now there's a workaround, but I'm just thinking how to make this better, right? So that's why maybe for the next release, let's see what we can do. So what happens is we don't provide a PVC to volume snapshot code mapping right now, right? So we have some list. So we do have this list of volume snapshot, but it's hard to know what, which is the original PVC if they want to kind of restore it back. So the workaround.
Well, hold on, we've never. How long ago was this started? Because I kind of remember this, but
yeah, this was just like last week, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we don't restore back to the original PVCs.
No, we restore. So it's just the user want to have a way to know which one is corresponding to what. There's no way to find out that, right? So we kind of rely on the hyperlink.
But it shouldn't matter.
Okay, so let me. Okay, so that's why I was saying this one we can discuss this one for a little bit longer and see what is the best way, right? So, because we only allow them to restore it back by creating a PVC from individual snapshot. That's how we restore, right? We do not do like a group restore, right? We don't even have a volume group construct. We get rid of that one, right? So the only way to restore is to create a PVC from a volume snapshot. So I think this person was saying, we need to know which PVC is the source of the snapshot. We do not have that because when we create a volume group snapshot, the snapshots are kind of dynamically, those are kind of like statically provisioned because we did this like batch, right? Kind of like a batch creates. We got snapshot ID, so it has to be a static provision. So we don't even have the source if they want to find it from the volume snapshot. It's not there, right? Because it's static provisioned. So the way right now the workaround is.
Hold on, I didn't know this part, so this is new to me.
Okay.
You're saying you create the volume group snapshot,
right?
And we will create volume snapshot objects for you.
Yes, we will. Yes.
But we won't link them to the PVCs they came from, like if they have been created by the.
So it's like static provision. So if you look at the PVC, you go look at the.
No, I get what you're saying.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's hard to figure out.
But why don't we? If we're
because if we dynamic provision, then the snapshotter will get the request. It's going to dynamic provision, right? So it's a different semantic. Because in this case, so remember in this case, we have this one in this in the cap as well. Basically, what happens is you make this one request to CSI driver to create a volume group snapshot. Then you get the list of snapshot IDs. You already have them. So if you send the request to the dynamic provisioning, then it's going to try to create a new one, right? So it works differently. You already know the IDs. You know what I'm saying?
I know that, you don't want a dynamic one, but it still seems to me that if you have the volume snapshot content created, that there should be, so we have the same issue with like PVs and PVCs and importing them and binding them, right? It should be possible to create a volume snapshot and volume snapshot content
PVC
pair.
And volume snapshot, the designs are different. There is something that we changed. Just so for PVC, so let me just say one thing. For PVC, once they are bound, there's no way for you to tell whether they are dynamically or static provision. That's one problem with that PVC.
Yeah.
But volume snapshot, when we do the design, we want to make it very clear, right? So that's why you can't even change it afterwards, right?
But this is a perfect case of like where we actually want both, right? We want it to be as if the user created it dynamically because it was dynamically created, but the mechanism is a different controller actually created it.
But you already have that, right? So you can't do that anymore, right? So because at that time you already have the snapshot ID at this point, right?
Yeah, but
the problem is if you so we can definitely take a closer look and see if there is a possibility to hack it. But
the question I want to ask is, was it a mistake to change the design to not be like the PVC or PVC bind here? Because
I don't think that's something that we discussed thoroughly at that time. I think that's a problem.
but we didn't discuss this problem at that time, and this problem might be the reason why it's actually better.
No. This problem we have other ways to solve this. I don't think this is the problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the solution? What's the solution?
Okay, so solution right now there's a workaround. So let me tell you the workaround. But workaround right now, it's just not nice because it kind of, but it's a workaround for now. So what you can do is, this is somebody also verified this one. So what you can do is, you let's see, where's my okay, yeah. So basically we just say, hey, when CSI driver, when they implement this one, when they return it back to us, right? So because CSI driver is the one who is returning the snapshot IDs, they need to make sure that the list is in the same sequence as the volume IDs they received, right? They got the list of volume IDs, right? So when they return it back, make sure it's in the same sequence, because in our code we kind of update this in sequence. So if you look at the first one, that's corresponding to this one, right? So that's the workaround. So, but then, if they did it wrong, then that's wrong. So there was no way for us to, guarantee this is right, but this is the workaround for now.
But just, we already have the list of persistent volumes in the spec.
Yeah, we already have this.
And
then
and
this
we just make
also,
sure
we
that
already
the-
have this, just make sure they're in when you return the snapshot list, make sure they're in the same sequence as the volume list. That's the input, right? Make sure your output.
Okay, I mean, that's all well and good for the volume group snapshot content object, but like that object should be invisible to.
Right. So that's why that's the
Yeah.
downside, right? So for now, I think just for now, right? But that's
Okay. I mean, this is it's a step in the right direction, but we still need to have a way from the end user's perspective to see that the volume snapshots were tied to the and as far as I can see, like you actually want them to look like they were dynamically created.
So so I can definitely, I believe that's not possible. That's why the design is even written that way. I can definitely take another look, right? The design is written.
I'm wondering if we can fix that.
We can take a look. I need to take a closer look of that, right? But but those are not dynamically created. That's the thing. It's different. So, but I can definitely take a look and see if it's possible to make it look like they're dynamic created. We can take a look of that. But it may not be possible because I believe I already looked at that earlier, but I can take another look. Okay, that's one thing. Another thing to solve this, I'm thinking is that we actually need to return a mapping instead of like individual ones in our, we return a list of snapshot IDs. We just return a list of volume ID, snapshot ID mapping, a list of that. Then we don't have this problem, right?
But where do we put those in the API?
But then that's so CSI spec, that means CSI needs to be changed. CSI spec needs to be changed. So that's why it's a bigger change. I don't want to rush it. I want to think.
Well, I still don't understand how it helps.
Then we know, right? Then we know. Then basically everything like here, right? So the status, and then we need to bubble this up in the volume snapshot, because in volume snapshot, we actually volume group snapshot, right? Volume group snapshot right now, we do have this volume snapshot ref list. So here we need to have the mappings, the list of the mappings instead of just volume snapshot list. Then user will get it.
In the status part of the object.
So right now we already have this, but it's just this is only for individuals. This is only for volume snapshot, and there's no volume information here, right? So we need to have a list of the mappings. Then we should have this problem solved. So just need to think through this, see what is the best way to do this.
I still think that's less nice than having the volume snapshots themselves somehow have a pointer to the. So
I need to take a closer look of the code. I believe that's not possible but I need to take a look and see.
Right. The existing code supports two cases, but now we've identified a third case, which is sort of halfway between dynamic and static provisioning.
Right, yeah.
And if we can extend, I mean, I know
maybe,
it's already GA.
That's okay. Yeah, that's all. Maybe it's possible. Well, we actually still made some changes to the snapshot, because we need to know, like, if a volume snapshot is part of a group. So there were so small changes we can make. That's fine. So
okay, If we can add new fields that are optional,
possible, right? Let's say, just thinking about it, right? Just thinking out loud. Maybe we'll add some annotation. Say, hey, if it has this annotation, we do it. Something.
Annotations are gross. I would want to think about what actual API change would make this less painful. And can we make that API change in a backwards compatible way, because it's a GA API and we can't just change it. So we should think that through.
That should be fine, right? So just we can add like a pointer that make it backward compatible. So we'll take a closer look. Yeah, take a close look. So let me think through that. So then if we do that, well, but even that, I think we probably still need to have a CSSI changes, because otherwise even the volume group snapshot control does not know, right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, we need there to be clarity between the SP and the CO, like which snapshot was related to which volume. That if that's not already part of the CSI spec, we got to fix it.
It is not there.
That's alpha. That's alpha. So we can just change it.
Yeah. So let's say can we, let's say, how to say, can we construct individual snapshots as if they are dynamically provisioned? So that has.
I mean, there's really two separate concerns. There's how you provision the snapshot, but then there's what information it has, and whether you dynamically or statically create it, and whether you have information about the PVC or not, are two orthogonal concerns that are right now tied together by the API. But we could untie them and say that, you know, you can statically create a PVC with a snapshot with a PVC ref, and it's fine.
Right. So I think we probably need both. Even if we do this, we probably need to do that. I think we need to do this as well, because otherwise, yeah, okay. So we need to take a close look, basically. So maybe, yeah, it may be possible. It's just need to change the snapshot API, one snapshot API. So huge, fine. Okay. This one is. Okay. Okay, yeah, I think that's probably nicer, right? If we can just see that in the source. Right, say this is the 3. Okay, yeah, so I'll just say this is kind of a little kind of different, yeah, in between. Sure. Any other thoughts for this?
Not for me. I hope we can figure this out.
Yeah.
So why are we skeptical about changing the CSI spec for having a mapping? Because I see the third case which you discussed, there also will need some kind of like spec change there also, right?
Oh no, this is just in the controller, the sidecar controller. This is just look at the sidecar controller, how, yeah, how we need to change the individual, I mean the snapshot control part that handles the individual snapshot creation to handle this special case. Because right now this is handled by the group snapshot controller. So but yeah, so this is just it's a little different. So there's a API, so there was API change, Kubernetes API change, right? And then there's the CSS spec change.
Right. Got it.
The question mark just need to figure out if this is the best way. I that's why I put question mark. But sounds like we probably have to do it. Otherwise, even the snapshot controller is not sure about the mapping. How does it know? Maybe no. Okay, so that's why I put the question mark. If we don't have to change the CSS spec, that's the best. But if we have to, then we have to, right? So that's why question mark. We definitely need to change the Kubernetes APIs to make this better experience. But this one, let's see. Right. If we don't have to, then it'll be good. But maybe we still have to.
Got it.
Okay. Okay. Anything else about this? Okay. Yeah. So I think once we get this one in, those two in, then I think we can, yeah, we're down for. I think there's one more thing, which is the volume mode conversion thing. We're going to enable that by default, but other than that, I think we're Yeah, fine. Okay, since the voting mode conversion. Conversion. Conversion check. That's that one. Okay, so
Is this because it's going from alpha to beta, or is it already beta?
oh,
and
it's
we're just
already
turning it
beta.
on?
It's just so it's so this is kind of like a CSM migration. We have added one more step. So it's already beta, but the flag is still false by default right now.
Okay.
We want to change that to true. Yeah. Then the
Okay.
next piece we can just bring that to GA. I think it's already been several releases.
And when it becomes GA, does the option go away? Or
The option will still be there because this is like a sidecar thing, right? So it's a different. So yeah.
there's no feature gate on the
Yeah,
Kubernetes
because
side.
this is purely a sidecar thing. So we can think about it. Does it make sense to?
No, I don't want to
keep
create
that
more
for a
features.
while. Yeah,
There
I
aren't
think
any, but,
yeah.
yeah.
I think it's
I-
yeah. We probably want to keep that for a while at least, and then maybe it makes sense to get rid of it in the future. Yeah, maybe.
I feel like we need a blog or some communication to make it very clear, aimed really at the CSI driver vendors.
Yeah.
So that they understand like what's going to happen.
You mean after this release or like when it's GA?
When we change the default,
Oh,
if anyone is not specifying it, like they will be affected, right? So we need to tell
yeah.
them,
So
don't upgrade to this sidecar without either
I think
understanding the default or specifying something.
Yeah, so as far as I know, it's I believe those vendors are mostly in this call. I have
but there's always someone who isn't, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So like
we don't have a blog.
Release notes.
Yeah.
Release notes are obviously the most important thing, but like maybe a blog too.
We could, yeah, maybe just then that would, because it's already too late for the blog for one. But we can write a blog later, yeah, because you can also write blog in the middle. I think it's just not part of 1.29, but yeah,
I think the CSI or the storage vendors typically upgrade to new sidecars after the fact. And hopefully they read the release notes before they do that.
Right. So normally normally is the backup vendor who will be checking this thing. So right.
But if the sidecars are doing the enforcement, those are under control of the storage vendor.
Correct, but the backup vendor is the one who need to make changes because they are the one who are converting this during their backups. Unless some storage vendor do that, I don't know what they need to do. Right. Normally, this is a part of the backup. You change the mode, right? You're not like a normal CSI. You provision volume. You don't do this normally, right? It's not like a regular user. It's only someone wants to backup restore. They do this conversion. So whoever do this backup restore when they need to normally backup, right? At that time, they need to basically just apply that annotation, then they're fine. So it's not dependent on a CSI driver change, basically. So basically, whoever is using this voting mode conversion, then only the backup vendor do, not the CSI driver itself, basically.
There has to be some customer somewhere running backup software and a storage driver, or they don't know about each other, and they've made it work, and this change could potentially break it.
Right. So that backup vendor, that backup vendor need to. I think it's good. I was thinking about just sending out some email, but maybe write a blog. Okay, we can do that.
I mean, I think the most important thing is the release notes for the sidecars to make it clear.
Yeah.
Because the storage vendors control when those upgrades happen, they need to understand the implications of doing it. Because if they never upgrade, it'll never matter. If they do,
Okay.
they have to be aware.
Let me check. Let me see if the existing one has there is a PR. Somebody, I need to see if this person is no, where is that? Previsioned. Oh yeah, here. This person, I need to, okay, I need to pin this person. It's not updated this for quite some time. Let's see if there's a release note. Okay. Action required. Yeah. See, we have this action required. Enable. Yeah. So we do have this action required. So this is kind of like what this Kubernetes node would normally like this. It will have action required. Yeah.
Is this for both sidecars? We have something like this.
The other one, the PR is not submitted yet. I'm still pinning the person. Okay. So if he doesn't do it, Ronak is going to do it. All right. So just I need to ping him again.
We just have to make sure that one has the same.
Yeah. And then plus the action. Okay. For the okay. Yeah, we'll make sure. I'll make sure to put this on the, the release page, because some people don't go read the change notes. You just put it on top of the release page. And to because they will go there and check to see what is released, then they will see that right there, what changes, but not just hidden in the change log. Okay. And
okay. Anything else?
Oh, so just one more thing. I just added this one. I remember some time ago there was this person who brought up the volume replication design. I need to find this person again. So
oh, that's right. There were two different designs. There was a Red Hat design and a NetApp design that were similar but different.
Right, the NetApp one, no one is because you talked about it a little bit, right? But now you are not there anymore. Do they have someone who can talk about this again? Do you think we can get Alex? Do you think he can talk about this again, or what? What? Okay. I have a question for you. For the NetApp version, do you also have a CSS spec extension?
No. On
Because
the NetApp side, the way it was done.
Because the Red Hat proposal has a CSS spec extension.
Okay.
Should we ask the?
Was there a new? Did they write a new sidecar?
Maybe
because the way it was done,
I don't remember, but I know they have a. I'm pretty sure they have a CSS extension. I looked at their proposal before. Yeah, they should have some sidecar. Otherwise, how does this control go, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that the NetApp version of it was trying to be, simple implementation. There was no attempt to not be proprietary, and they just put all of the code into the CSI driver.
So it's like this. So it's probably stored class. You pass those things. Otherwise, you won't know.
Well, the point is all of there were a bunch of new API objects that got created, but all the controllers were just in the CSI driver because
okay. So
because the NetApp CSI driver already has a bunch of Kubernetes controllers in addition to being an SP. So it wasn't so anything that would have been in the sidecar was just directly included. But I don't believe any of the people that worked on that at NetApp are still currently working on Trident. So it's going to be hard to find anyone who can come talk about it.
Okay.
I don't actually know, right? I'm not there anymore, but
from
what I've heard, a lot of people have moved on and
to work on some other things. Okay.
The feature still exists, but I don't know if anyone's interested in pushing it at this point from
Okay.
a NetApp perspective.
Okay. And also this, then if that's the case, you probably not dealing with like two clusters, right? It's not two Kubernetes clusters, just one Kubernetes cluster. You're hidden this underneath basically, right? I'm
It's,
guessing so. Because you
you
don't
can
have,
support multiple Kubernetes clusters. That was the design. Yes.
it is, okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right, so I guess we have to look at details, so we don't know. We don't have a way to know.
I mean, so my recollection of when I looked at this last was it's because all the storage technologies, sorry, all the replication technologies from different storage vendors are slightly different. It's going to be really hard to generate an interface that generically works, right? Like a common CSI interface and a common sidecar that will do the right thing for every storage system is going to be extraordinarily hard. And that was
Right.
one of the reasons that I think NetApp went down the path of saying, well, we'll at least make it work for, you know, for our case. And with the simplest API possible to do that. If we as a community wanted to come up with something more generic, I think we're going to bump into the reality that, you know, the different technologies all have different limitations, and whatever API we choose will exclude some of those implementations. I think something similar happened on the group snapshot discussion. Is, you know, we as we got into the weeds, we basically had to say, okay, you know, there's a certain minimum thing that you need to be able to do, and storage, even if a storage system has a concept of a group snapshot, if it doesn't match what the CSI spec requires, then it just doesn't work, right? You have to do something similar on the replication side, and I don't know how many.
Also, that one also because initially I want to also support a group replication. That's also adding a lot of more complexity. That's why, right? We kind of even get rid of the volume group. Really. So yeah.
But my fear is you may never have more than one working implementation of any given design, just because there aren't enough people showing up saying, yeah, I want to actually implement, you know, the standard. And if we can't get two or more companies to show up and do the replication implementation for any design we come up with, then it'll never get off the ground. I feel like group snapshots has a chance because it's not that complicated. But
so yeah, we can, I think we can, yeah, I mean, we can talk about things, right? I mean, whether we can really reach consensus, that's a different story. But
I mean, I actually think we could reach consensus. Like I've given this enough thought. I know you have a lot of background. We could get together, we could write a design and say, yeah, this sounds good. But the missing part is going to be you would need two different storage vendors
right.
to show up and implement it and prove that it works to get past alpha. And I don't see that step happening.
Okay, so that's why we want to talk about it, right? So I don't know if that person, you know, he's still interested in drive this, or, and also I see Tom here. Sorry for calling you
Thomas.
up.
Hi there. I was wondering, has Red Hat made a cap for?
No. They just came here a couple times, and then yeah, I need to find that person. I don't know where he's. It's been a while. I also remember you already have this implemented in your driver, isn't it?
We do.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about it? Because yours is also already open source anyway. It's on GitHub, right?
Yeah, it's on GitHub.
Do you want to talk about your design? We can just see how you design it.
Maybe when the new year rolls around. There's overall the design works pretty well, but it has some limitations, and I want to think about what I'd want to say about that.
Okay.
But I agree with Ben's comment about you know, probably different storage vendors are going to have very different models.
Yeah.
And in reality, we have internally two different replication models, and we're thinking about a third. Some arrays support what we call metro replication. And in metro replication, there's basically you basically get the replicas exported from two storage arrays to a single pod, essentially, they have the same WWN from the two storage arrays, and then we use the multipath daemon to switch between them. And that actually requires really no interface changes or anything like that, other than the user just using a storage class that says to do that. So that one's pretty easy. We also have async and synchronous replication models, and the way that we did that is we essentially have a PV-PVC pair for each of the two arrays, and then the application gets to choose one or the other. And to some degree that works well, but there are weird problems like you want to do a failover and you're on a single array and you have the wrong PV-PVC and you need to switch them. And as you know, they're immutable. So in terms of their mapping to the underlying volumes. So I'd want to think about, for a more general proposal, maybe how we might deal with that. Because that's something that has proved to be a hindrance, I would say.
Okay. Now, do you want to have a little bit more formal discussion about this, like present something of what your design, or you think you're still thinking about this?
I might be willing to do that
Okay.
in the new year sometime.
Yeah, of course, not of course. I think we need to cancel the next meeting. That's the last week of this year. I don't think.
Yeah.
Run.
And
Yeah.
in reality, I'm going to be out of pocket for 3 weeks in late
Okay.
January through February. So I'm pretty
Okay.
booked is the problem.
That's okay. Yeah. It's not
Why
like
don't
you have to rush.
why don't you propose a date if you want? Just send me an
Okay.
email or something, and maybe I'll counter with a date that would be good. I don't know. I haven't been tuning in too much because I've been so busy, but I don't know how urgent this is on your
Oh, no,
wherever
not
you are.
urgent, just not urgent. This is, I think, just as you, both of you, both Ben, you say, this is complicated, it's not something that we have to rush, right? But do you like to start discussion on this and see what others have already done and see if there is something we can do as a group?
Yeah.
I mean, if a storage company came to me and asked, like, how do we do replication in CSI? Like, my first advice would be do the proprietary thing that these companies are already doing first. Just because it's the way to get it to work, for any given storage system. So it sounds like Thomas has already taken that advice.
Yeah, we're kind of there. We have actually written down a bunch of thoughts for what we call replication 2.0. So yeah, we learned a lot by implementing it, absolutely, and working with customers who used it.
Okay, but once you have already got customer using it, then you're changing, that's going to be tough, right? Then you need to upgrade and
Yeah, that makes it tougher. Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, the value. So to be clear, like, I think for any individual business is just trying to get the feature out there, like that's the faster path, and the user experience will at least be simpler. The value of us as a community coming up with a standard is that you could get to a place where this was a feature that was portable across implementations. And if there is customer demand for that, then like we should try to build the thing that would meet that customer demand. If the driver is like companies want to expose their cool features, like that, then proprietary is probably the better way to do it. If we can't, because it's so hard to have a standard interface that would truly be portable, right? And that's the value that this working group can provide, is to actually generate the portable interface that works everywhere, or at least across the subset that implement the standard, but like you really do need at least 2, and ideally 3 or 4. It's just hard to see how that many storage vendors can have a common enough implementation to have an API that, you know, really works everywhere. I've been burned too many times trying to make this work in the past. So I'm very nervous about trying it again.
Yeah, I
okay.
can appreciate that.
So, I mean, even if I think it's also good to just to see what, as a Tom or others have already done, even if it's a,
Oh yeah,
approach.
I
just
love the
learn that,
idea
right?
of
We can
knowledge
also,
sharing and
share knowledge
get the
and see.
ideas out there.
If not possible, then if not, we can't come up with a common interface, then we already tried, but it's still good to share, you know, if Tom is willing to share, right? Then we'll see if it's possible to come up with a common thing, we can do it. Otherwise, you know, then we just see, you know, what we have done, what we have learned, what we can do better. Okay.
Yeah, so one of the problems with having 2 PVCs PVs, we've thought about making the PVCs PVs completely virtual, where there's 2 underlying physical volumes on the array, but a single PVC PV can be switched under the hood, if you will, to either one of the physical volumes. What customers really like is the very simple model like Portworx has, where you just say number of replicas equals this, and you can execute it on, you can access that volume from basically anywhere. So,
but you mean you can access it from other Kubernetes clusters?
well, sure. Yeah, I mean, you have to make a PVC PV to do that, but yeah.
But you still have to orchestrate like what direction the replication is going, right?
Oh,
because you still have you have the access model of for read write once volumes, you can only have one writer at any given
you
time.
can
And the
only
moment
have
you
one
go,
writer at a time. Yeah.
Yeah. Then so the moment you go across
Absolutely.
clusters, you need a new enforcement mechanism for that.
Yeah, systems like that all have sort of a cross-cluster etcd backbone. Portworx does, for example. You should look at Portworx DR.
Do they hide it down to the bottom layer, or like underneath it all?
Yeah, they have their own
Yeah.
etcd at the bottom layer that's controlling the replication and who has the access.
The
ETC
NetApp model
is their own, right? It's not the one shared with Kubernetes. It's their own, right?
Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
The ETC you're saying, you talk about the ETC, that's like,
oh, it's separate. It's
separate
absolutely
one. Okay.
separate.
Okay.
Yeah, the NetApp model was each CSI driver only knows about the Kubernetes cluster it's in, and the synchronization across Kubernetes clusters is done by something that sits on top and reaches down and shares information. So that the individual CSI drivers can be unaware of what's going on outside of their cluster. They have full control inside their cluster. And if you want to coordinate operations across clusters, you go up a level to something that controls that sends commands down to orchestrate an operation across clusters.
And the Dell model, the main Dell model that we ship today, is similar to that, although cluster A, the driver has access to the arrays in cluster A and cluster B. But that's more of an implementation detail. The way that people use it is much like you described.
Yeah.
And there's a CLI, for example, for passing PVCs and PVs back and forth and doing failover operations and that kind of thing.
So hey, Xing, we're at time.
We're out of time. Yeah. All right. So so I will cancel next meeting. That's the last week of the year. So we'll resume meetings in the new year. So everybody, happy holidays. Thank you.
Yeah, you too. It's good to talk to you all.
Yeah.
I hope you have a wonderful holiday season.
Yes, you too. Thanks.
All right. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye.